every single someone even posted number one, but I literally like the one I wanted to look in day.
So, I know it seems odd, but we are going to start on this big review that I put together, cut and paste, review topics 272 to 15. And we only have 2 problems to do on this yet, and that is 15, C, and D. So we're going to do 15, C, and D, and then we're going to move to a different review sheet. And again, I told you before, you need to spend some time on your own, because we are not going to have time to do this whole thing, all these reviews. So you are doing some work on your own, and then coming to class tomorrow with your questions. All right, so let's look at 15C. Okay, this one doesn't look too bad. What are our thoughts? Oh my goodness gracious, let's get a thought in our head. What are we going to do with these guys? Yeah, ln x over 3 equals 2. And now we're going to loop-de-loop. Remembering that the base on ln is e. We're going to have e to the second equals x over 3. So it looks like our answer is 3e squared. Is that okay? Now we've got something. Now, is it okay to go straight to this? Yeah, that's logical. If the logarithm of the left is bigger than the logarithm on the right, then the thing on the left is bigger than the thing on the right. So we can solve this. Is it really working out like this, or am I just wishful thinking? Is this coming out this way?
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Now I need the product to be positive. 0 is going to work. Let's see that. That will work. And that will work. So it looks like, so far, the answers to the problem, and I say so far because you know what we still need to do. The answers to the problem are the numbers less than -3 and the numbers bigger than 3. Would you agree with that so far? All right, now what else do I have to think about? Something really big. Some of us blew it on our last quiz. Oh, by the way, I need to turn those back, don't I? I'll do that. What? What can't be negative? This guy right here has to be bigger than 0, right? And so does this. So that one's easy to graph. I'll go ahead and put him on here. So here's -4. And I have to be bigger than that. So far, I'm going to get rid of this part now. So far, it looks like I have between -4 and -3. And bigger than 3. But I still have to deal with this. Now, we actually had one like that somewhere else that we talked about in the notes or something. That doesn't factor. I wish it did. It would be a whole bunch easier if it factored, but it doesn't, right? What shape is that equation? It's a parabola. So I really want to know, where does it cross the x-axis? Where does it have x-intercepts. So I guess I'll have to use the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. I do remember something like this happening to us before. So I've got negative 1 plus, is that 21? And negative 1 minus. Okay? Alright, so my number line's getting kind of messy here, but I gotta add a couple more things to it. What is negative 1 plus the square root of 21 divided by 2? 1.79. So here's 1.79. And then negative 1 minus the square root of 21. Negative 2.79. Now, we can make this easy on ourselves if we stop and think for a second. You told me it was a parabola, and its x-intercepts are at negative 2.79 and 1.79. Okay, so that's where, if I were going to graph this parabola, this is where it would cross the axis. Those are its zeros. Is this parabola opening up or down? How do we, guys, come on, up. So this parabola is opening up, right? And I need positive values. So this has to be positive, remember. So I need positive values. So don't those happen here and here? So I need to be less than that and bigger than that. So there's a lot going on in this picture, but we have to consider all the parts. So first of all, we just solved, and that's how we got the negative 3 and 3. Did my little sign chart thing. I could have done the parabola thing with this too. I didn't because it factored so nicely. So we did the sign chart thing and figured out black was here and there. Green came from that guy. X plus 4 has to be positive, so X has to be bigger than negative 4. And then red came from this thing, had to be bigger than 0. So we found, it didn't factor. So that is exactly what I did here with the black, only the black factored. So solved it, got my 2 dots, and then I used a parabola to figure out what parts I needed. I could have done a sign chart, plugging in numbers like negative, I would have had to plug something in there like negative 2.9 or something, and 1.8 and 0 to see what I shaded in. That's a lot. That is a lot. Now I need an answer. What do you think my answer is? Now remember, it has to be black and red and green. So what do you think? Negative 4 to negative 3. And looks like 3 on. Everybody okay with that? That was a lot. Okay, now let's get out this typed. Looks like I stole it from somewhere. And see what we can do with this. 2.7, 2.15 in here. right, so evaluate the logs in each column without a calculator. Okay, why don't you take a minute and do that with your partner, and then we'll see if you get the right sums. And then if you don't, we'll have to check them. I got 16.
But then I got this one. I put this you got it. Yeah. Thank you.
I just read chicken scratch.
When you get both those in.
You guys get 16, 9, 7.
How do you do the last one in column B?
Wait, are you talking about the sum?
This is 5 to the x equals the square root of 5.
What did you get for the sum of your
5 to the 1
first
half is the
column?
same as the square root of 5.
So that means I got
First column, 16. Anybody not get 16? 16 is right. Good? All right, how about the second column? Uh-oh. Oh,
10
yeah,
minus
I added
8.
wrong. Yeah, it's 9. Thank you. So I got -2, 1/2, 7, 3, and 1/2. Yeah, that makes 9. And how about the last column?
7.
I got 7. -3, -1, 6, 0, and 5. Anybody have a question about any of those? Okay, those are kind of meat and potatoes. Those are ones we can just, okay. All right, problem B. Okay, did you get that far yet? Have you tried B? Let's simplify that thing. So that would be log what if I simplify? 9 x to the 5th, y to the negative 3rd. Is that okay? Are you with me? So when I write this out as individual logarithms, I'm going to recognize that 9 is 3 squared. And so aren't these numbers just going to be my A, B, and C? Aren't I going to have 2 log 3, 5 log x, and negative 3 log y? Because exponents become coefficients. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. All right, problem C. Loses about 14% of its value each year. So what would I multiply by? 0.86, very, very, very good. So 24,885 times 0.86 to some power needs to be half of that, which is what? 12,44250. All right, how are we going to figure that out? I see the calculators coming out. That's awesome. What are you doing with your calculator? Because there's different things you could do. So if you're doing it algebraically, you could divide and then log both sides. What else could you do? I'm doing this algebraically, but what else could you do? Graph it? Could you graph it? And see where it intersected. So you're going to want to do whatever is easiest for you. I got, let's see, it says rounded off to the nearest 100. So I got 4.60 years. Anybody else get that? I self-refreshed from last period, so I'm a little bit frazzled. Is that okay? All right, good. Let's keep going a couple more, and then we'll go on and back to quizzes. Which of the following could represent this? A. Very good. A. What are 2 things you looked at to get answer A? It's upside down, and it's shifted to the right. Yeah. Is that okay with everybody? All right, number 2 would pass through what point? There's my regular logarithm right there. What's happened to this guy? He has been moved to the right h. Now, if you move him to the right h, then won't this point over here be h plus 1? All right. And then what about my y coordinate? Well, I'm going to be picked up, okay? So I'm taking this point right here, I'm moving it to the right and picking it up. So what point's it going to go through? h plus 1, comma, k. Does that make sense to everybody? Why isn't it hk? That might be your first gut feeling, but why not? That's an asymptote. Yeah, remember the origin is an asymptote. Very good. All right, which of the following has a vertical asymptote at -3? Clearly 3. Let's see, if I put in a -3 there, I'm also gonna get 0. Yeah, I think it's 2 and 3 both. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Find the inverse. You guys are really good at this. So you'll switch your variables first of all. And then what? Times by 3? And then ln, since it's an e. So ln 3x equals 2y. So that's what I got. Is that up there? Let's see which one is that. Is it C or is it A? This is what I got. Isn't that A? Isn't it A?
Yeah.
All right, one more. That's 3.54 and 2511. Find the missing things. All right, what do you think? What are we gonna do here?
Plug in the coordinates.
So 4 equals A log 5 plus K. By the way, what's log base 5 of 5? 1. So this just says 4 equals A plus K. And then we're gonna plug in 11 equals A log base 5 of 25 plus K. What's this? Log base 5 of 25 is, so 11 equals 2A plus K. So don't we just have these two equations? Which you can solve any way you want. I got 7 equals A. I eliminated. And K equals -3. Anybody have a question about any of that? Is it right? Anybody match it? Yeah, so then we had to do 3A plus K, so 18. All right, I'm gonna stop there and get your quizzes back to you. I want you to spend a few minutes going over them with your partner.